Alex, takeaways from the loss to the Steelers. Let's start with the headline, Rhamondre Stevenson, the fumbling problem. There's talk of Vrabel has to button things up, the bad penalties, the fumbles. So you have to make a statement. You're not going to change a culture in 3 games. You're not going to change a culture in one off season. But if a culture changes what you're going after, how do you handle the Stevens situation, in your opinion?
It's tricky because it's not as simple as the fumbles, and I wrote about this a little bit in the Patriots mailbag that I posted this morning on 985thesportshub.com. He's also been one of their few, you want to call explosive players. They have 7 gains of more than 20 yards this season. He has 3 of them. You look at what he was doing in that game before the second fumble. They convert 3 3rd and 10 or longers on that big drive at the end of the first half. He converted a couple of them, and then one was, I think, 3rd and 12 where he gets 11, and then that was the one where they went for it, backed all the way up in their own end, which he also converted. So Trayvon Henderson, the wheels are still spinning a little bit. He still looks a little bit like a rookie. Antonio Gibson fumbled as well. So, look, you can't have a guy out there that's going to be putting the ball on the ground once or twice a game. You can't have that. But at the same time, and you saw it in Miami, he does add a dynamic to their offense that they're struggling to find right now. When Mike Vrabel said after the game, we're going to need him, he's not wrong. They are going to need him. The question is, how do you balance what he gives you with the fumbling issues? He clearly needs to touch the ball less, but right now, unless Trayvon Henderson gets it going, the dynamic he brings is important.
I guess I'm just not seeing it. And, I'll take your word for it, but when I think, you don't have a ton to choose from, but when you think about dynamic, explosive offensive plays that the Patriots have put up just in these first 3 games, I first think about Hunter Henry. I think about Keyshawn Boutte. I think about Drake May picking up yards with his own feet. Rhamondre Stevenson is like 4th, 5th on the list. I'm not recalling him being like instrumental or having those big impact plays.
So part of it is he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. Like, there's been big gains, but they haven't ended up in the end zone. The 55-yarder against Miami, right? That's not a score. That sets up a score. It's not a score. And the ones against Pittsburgh, literally, I'm writing down. During the game, I have a piece of scratch paper that I'm just writing ideas down on as I go. And I'm like, Rhamondre converting big 3rd downs, look up and he fumbled. And I go cross that out. And I'm like, all right, there's a different story for him now. It kind of changes the tone. Some of it is, too, to what you said. There's not a lot to pick from. Ideally, you have other guys step up and step into those more explosive roles, and that's where we can get into, what are they going to do at the wide receiver position? Do we maybe start to see some more of Kyle Williams? And then you don't have to worry about getting that kind of play as much from your running back.
Well, my question is this. First of all, the fumbles negate everything. If you fumble on the goal line, it negates any yardage that you pick up. And my question would be this. If he got hurt, say he got hurt, say he plays this weekend and he gets hurt, like, are you right? Like, how, like, is that, in your view, something that they could not overcome, that is going to result in more losses than wins? Or is what they have or a replacement equivalency, while maybe, not having a couple of those runs, but able to hang on to the ball, how much are they losing there? How much better is he than a replacement back?
So right now, when you look at what they have, again, Antonio Gibson fumbled too. I think Gibson's been good.
I realize that. I know Gibson has a fumbling problem, but Rhamondre Stevenson then cut Gibson. I don't know.
So I would think give Antonio Gibson a bigger role. That would be my answer. You can't take Stevenson out of the game entirely, but I would think give Gibson a bigger role. But if the issue is fumbles, you have to worry about that there as well. Really, the guy you want to step up here is Trayvon Henderson.
Right.
But he led the team in touches last week, and he only averaged 3.3 yards per touch. That's not enough, especially on the ground. He's still not seeing
What are you seeing there? Because running backs are not on a learning curve. Out of all the positions, running backs should be able to come in and make an impact. We've seen it a bunch of times.
Sure.
What's he? I know he's bad I've been told he's bad in blitz pickup and things like that. But why has he been ineffective with the ball in his hands so far?
I think it's less of a learning curve. It's not no learning curve, especially
right.
just learning.
But
a new
as
offense.
Positions in the NFL go,
sure.
Running back is something that you are, because your career is going to be so short. You're expected to be effective right away. Like it's not something where it's not a quarterback or even a corner. It's not a left tackle. It's like it's a position that you should contribute right away. People draft running backs to start as rookies on good teams. So, I mean, the Lions did. I mean, Genti's supposed to start. He's not been effective, but he's starting right away. What's Trayvon Henderson doing that's leading to this?
And just to that point, by the way, Fred, the 3 worst rushing offenses in the NFL, according to some metrics, all drafted a running back in the top 40 in April. So I think with Henderson, I don't know exactly what he's either running to contact too much, trying to create contact, or he's not seeing things right and not picking up the hole right, but he's just kind of running to areas where there's no space. And that could be a number of different things. But when you saw in the preseason, I think something he had such a good knack at and something he did well in college was it's not just that he's fast, it's knowing how to use his speed and, okay, be patient here, slow down, get the hole, hit it, and then explode. And it just feels like he's going 100% all the time now, and he's just trying to hit the line and create contact and run through that, and that's just not how he plays. So whether it's him just need to see it better or get a better feel for it, and we know he can do it because he did it in the preseason, that's the big roadblock for him right now for me.
Ultimately, I'm wondering, in the passing game, which would help the running game, Pop Douglas has not gotten off to the start everyone would have wanted.
We'll start there. Pop Douglas has been advertised his whole career now as someone with the potential to break out. It is yet to happen.
We were told by a couple of people, Andrew Callahan and Mike Reese, that it's all about the sets they have out on the field. He's just not playing as much. But even when he is playing, he's not creating the impact that most of us thought a slot receiver would in Josh McDaniels' offense.
Yeah, so what do you think his ceiling is? Like, what's a realistic expectation for him?
So everybody puts him in that slot role, but in the McDaniels offense, the role that everybody thinks of, the Edelman role, right? It's actually Stefan Diggs more so in that role right now than Pop. Pop is more in the Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan role. It's kind of a hybrid of those two. So for me, what a successful season would be for him, it's not so much 100 catches. It's, is he moving the chains? Is he picking up explosive plays? He's a guy I wanted to see them send more vertically, like up the field, and they haven't done a ton of that.
People either didn't want to admit it at the time because it wasn't sexy or it just wasn't all that prevalent. But Chris Hogan was like the closest thing they had to that deep threat for a while. He wasn't a slot guy. He may have looked like it. You may have wanted him to be in there because he kind of looked like a slot receiver.
Checked a couple boxes. But
what are you referring to? But no, was he scrappy?
Yeah,
exactly right.
But
Jim Rat?
I get what you're saying in that for Pop Douglas,
right,
he would take that role. And again, even Pop Douglas doesn't seem to be that deep downfield threat. But if you're going to need one, and if Diggs is already occupying that slot receiver role, okay, Pop, that's what you're going to need to be for us.
Right, and there's opportunities to build off of that. He doesn't have to go exclusively vertical, but now you get press coverage off of him. Teams have to respect him running deep, and now he's got a ton more room to operate underneath, and they don't have a ton of like high-level straight-line speed on this offense. It's basically Pop Douglas, Trayvon Henderson, and Kyle Williams. So I think they need a speed element. That's why I was somebody who was really high on Pop. I thought he was, the best opportunity to get that involved quickly. But if him and Drake May can't get on the same page, you might have to go somewhere else. And is that where Kyle Williams starts to become a bigger part of the equation?
And I wanted to follow up on Stefan Diggs, who hasn't really exploded like we had all hoped he would. I mean, he is supposed to be the number one wide receiver. I think he's averaging under 10 yards a catch. Is it because of the knee? Is it because of the offense? What are you seeing?
So the knee's got to be part of it. Like he was so far ahead of schedule and getting back on the field for where he was off that ACL. There's a difference between getting back on the field and being cleared and being 100%. And I wonder if he's still kind of working his way back into it. Some of it is too, I think the way they're running the offense, he is I wrote this yesterday, I'm trying to remember the numbers. He has the most catches and the second most yards among all wide receivers on the team. Or it's the other first and second the other way around. But like he's been basically their most involved wide receiver. Drake May is just a lot more comfortable right now throwing to running backs and tight ends. So I think it's more the context of that.
This is more of a positive, even though it sounds like a negative. Look, Drake May looks like he can play quarterback in the NFL, and that's great. We've talked about Pop Douglas. We talked about Rhamondre Stevenson. We talked about Trayvon Henderson. Just in terms of talent now that you've had 3 games in, take May out of the equation. Realistically, where does the level of talent on this offense stand in relation to the rest of the NFL? Like, how realistic is it for this offense to be really successful with the people they have?
I think it's better than it's been. I still think they're probably, bottom half. Some of it depends on the rookies. If Trayvon Henderson gets going and Kyle Williams can get going, that's going to raise the level a lot. But for where they're at right now, I think it's still a group that you're probably looking for Drake May to carry more so than not.
Right. And so that should lead to hope because the offense is moving the ball. And you would think that with each successive season, now that you have your quarterback in place, that you add talent, and now you're talking about something. Go ahead.
It's interesting because we talked about this after game one. It's all how you looked at this team entering the season. The 9, 10, and you heard 11 win folks at the beginning of the season look at this and go, oh my God, what a massive disappointment. They're not anywhere close to where we thought they would be. But I think everyone in this room thought all those people were nuts. We thought 6 or 7 wins at the beginning of the season. I'm looking at the offensive line, the 2 rookies on the left-hand side, they're holding up. Yep. I'm looking at Drake May coming into his own. I mean, there are some foundational pieces being built here for the next 3, 4, 5 years. There's hope where there wasn't any the last 2 seasons.
At key positions, too,
Yes.
because if you're a team and you have like a great corner and a great wide receiver, but you don't have a quarterback or a left tackle, like you're screwed. Like if you don't, they're in a position where they can realistically add, not throw, the darts at a free agency board. They can realistically add talent to this team through the draft and, exponentially improve every season.
There are some young defensive backs that have been better than more good than bad. I mean, there's some stuff here. I think, Alex, we can all agree the last 2 years there was no stuff anywhere.
There wasn't a lot. And I think part of that conversation, too, that's so important is it's not a mountain anymore of their to-do list isn't so long that some of these guys, maybe they're not that, apex big play threat, star receiver or whatever, but Kayshon Boutte's developing into a nice complementary wide receiver. We've known Hunter Henry's a good player, but he's continuing to do it, as he hits 30 years old. We'll see what some of those rookies become, but it's like they don't need to overhaul everything. They kind of have the secondary guys, it feels like, maybe in place. It's just, can you go get that guy at the top of the depth chart that's going to dictate what the defense does and slot everybody else into a more appropriate
And
role?
that's why I'm so interested in like where you think of Pop Douglas stands and Booty stands, because that's what I'm doing in my own head is I'm thinking, okay, where are these guys going to slot in on a good team, right? Like, so is Pop Douglas a weapon on a good team? Or is he, it just turns out like he's not going to be a factor. I mean, that's what you're looking at right now. Like, this isn't your Super Bowl team, but what pieces of this team could be on a team that could be and contribute to a team that competes for a Super Bowl? What pieces are going to stick around during the rebuild? And I think it's been very encouraging. I'm of the mind that if you turn the ball over 5 times in a game and lose by a touchdown, that's a bit of a moral victory. I know people hate the moral victories, but you're not going to turn the ball over 5 times in every game. You stick around with a team that made the playoffs last year, turn the ball over 5 times. You're not a disaster, and that team didn't quit. So I looked at that game and I thought, big deal, win or lose this year. But
they're in games.
They're in games.
I mean, you're not in the first half. You're not dreading the last 2.5 quarters of games.
It's not a job to watch the second half.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a slog anymore. I mean, the expectations, John said it well, is just when you were expecting this team to win 11 games and challenge for the division.
Yeah.
Was, as writers were saying, challenge for the division against Buffalo.
Would you have him pick that, Barth?
I had him at 8 or 9 wins.
That's not crazy.
A little ambitious.
9 is very ambitious. They could win 8 games.
I said that they'd be playing meaningful football in December.
Which is all we wanted.
That's all we want.
That's all we wanted.
Let's do that.
Right.
For the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.